Welcome in, everybody. It's Tuesday night, and if it's Tuesday night, that's right. You know it's time for Divots and Pivots every Tuesday night here, 8 o'clock. And yes, you just see my logo bouncing around because cameras suck sometimes, and I figured this was better than seeing a blurry version of my face. I'm too good looking to subject myself to that. but, in other news, another good looking man here. I'm gonna pull the cat out of the bag. I'll spoil it here. Happy birthday, Mr. Keith Fleming.
Thanks, buddy. Birthdays are not as much fun as you get older. I'll go ahead and admit, I think the only birthday I have to look forward to moving forward is when I can move to the senior tees, which is unfortunately fastly approaching. But I appreciate the well wishes. I've had a great day. Appreciate everybody that reached out to me. Nothing more fun than talking one of the best golf tournaments of the year on your birthday.
100%. And let's be honest, you can play with whatever tees you want to play. Who cares what your age is? Who cares?
Well, I mean, for like the game and stuff that we play in, like we have a men's group, and you have to be a certain age to move up to those tees. So
I see. Okay.
I am, like I said, ready to be able to justify that.
I forgot you had your men's group there, so that makes sense. Fine enough. We don't want to fuck up your handicap and have you cheat, whatever. But you mentioned it. It's Players Week, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do very quick touch on the news, which is kind of related to what's going on here this week. We'll get to that, and then after that, we're going to pretty much spend the whole show just really diving into the DFS aspect of what's going on this week, because it is a big week for sure. So let's jump right into the news. All right, so the two biggest news, I guess, things not related directly to just the Arnold Palmer that just happened this past week, because we'll get to that as well. But for those who care, like us who were crapping on him last week, Rahm goes out and does finally win on Live. Whoop-de-doo. But at least he can say he's done it now and won something recently. So, I mean, I guess, you know what? Considering how much he was in the headlines and the comments and all that, for him to go out and win, I guess that's a good sign of his mental fortitude. Take from it what you want. Yippee-yay. Good for you, Rahm. Do you care at all?
No. I don't. Again, I don't want to knock. He went out and won a tournament.
Right.
That's great. I need to see him show up in the majors. That's what will impress me. And I hold Rahm to a higher standard. I thought he was going to be the next guy in golf. I really did. We went from Tiger to Rory to Scheffler, and I thought it was going to be Tiger, Rory, and then Rahm. And it's maybe it's just a coincidence, but it's just crazy that this guy was on the cusp. He had just won his second major, and then he decides to leave, and he has not been the same, at least guy in the biggest events, which that's, fairly or unfairly, that's what we hold these guys to, is the standard, is how do you do in majors? He's not been the same guy. So again, until he has some good finishes and really wins a major, wake me up then. Otherwise, bully for him.
Yeah, and that's fair. And we're not going to see him this week because this is not a major, as much as people want to call it the fifth major. I get it. I don't get it. It doesn't matter to me how anyone feels about it, because in the end, it doesn't matter. It's still an amazing tournament. It's the highest purse tournament of the year. This tournament is literally called the Players, and it happens to be, from a lot of different accounts, the Players' favorite tournament of the year, between the venue and the field, and how competitive the field is year in and year out, and the fans. This is just one of the best tournaments of the year. So think of it how you want, whatever. But yeah, we will not be seeing Rahm this week. We'll see him at the Masters, but that's yay for Rahm. Woo! In bigger news, and this ties into this past week at API, Rory withdrawing when he's T10 before his third round down in at Bay Hill. That is so apparently the news is that he as he was stretching and working out before his pre-round range session, he felt a small tweak in his back. He went out, finished his workout, and went out to the range, took some swings. It did not feel right, and he pulled himself out. It's being labeled as a back spasm, I believe. So I mean, that's so general in my eyes. That's everybody's body is different. He's obviously works out a lot more than you and I. He obviously puts
To
a
say
lot
the
more work
least.
on that back than you and I. But back spasm feels like it could be anything that from a couple hours it can go away and be fine to a week to a couple days. Like it feels like it could be so general. And I personally, we'll get into it a little bit later, have a lot of doubts on whether you can trust Rory, because the other thing to take in talking about what the players means to take into account here is that it is the players, it is important. But if this is going to be something that he feels as he's warming up heading into this weekend or this week, and he's feeling like it's lingering, the Masters is more important. And does he decide to take some time off to make sure he's good before major season? I mean, I know the players is important, like I said, but I guess we'll kind of kick off the DFS talk here slightly before we go full. Are you worried about Rory? I don't feel like I can trust him. I think I'm just going to stay away. I know other people like Pat Mayo was out there and said he's not worried. He thinks he's going to be fine. He's going to play fine. In a tournament like this, I need a little more assurance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm conflicted because I think his ownership's going to be low because a lot of people are going to have your concerns. When in reality, if you look at it, what's the biggest, stats that we see over and over again in players that, excel here. It's no surprise Rory's won this event twice with the way he drives the golf ball, right? Like nobody drives it further and straighter than he does. He's having a career year, though, on approach with his irons, which is maybe the most important stat at TPC Sawgrass. So if he is, able to play 4 rounds and healthy enough to feel comfortable, I think he's in a great place to win. And not to mention, him and Scheffler are both chasing history, by the way. No player has ever won this event 3 times.
Right.
Have a chance to do that. Am I loading up on Rory and DFS? Hell no.
Yes.
But I probably will take a swing in at least one single entry like cash game lineup because I just think that he's going to be really low owned from people rightfully like yourself being concerned about, using him. And, depending on who you had last week, you could have got snake bitten twice late withdrawals because if you had Jake Knapp, you had a real bad start to your tournament on Thursday. And then for people like me, and people like me that had Rory, and I think about half my lineups, it got me, headed into the weekend. So, I totally understand anyone being concerned. Typically, in general, I stay away from players who have, potential health issues. I'm even, to be honest, a little concerned about Jake Knapp, even though it was just an illness. Because
I was gonna say, his was just sickness, though. I thought so. Okay,
it is, but I mean, it's still something where, like, is he completely healthy? Did he lose any weight? Like, I didn't listen to the press conference, so I don't know if those questions were asked or not. But I do think that they're, at a venue like this where Rory's had so much success, particularly since it's been moved to March, where the greens play a little bit firmer and faster. The rough apparently this year is the thickest that the guys have seen since they've moved it to March.
I think they're saying 4.5 inches. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, I mean, they just said it just looks different. I don't know if they maintained it different. They just said it seems much more gnarly, where the ball seems to be sitting down more, which typically you don't see that until, it gets a little warmer. So I don't know if they, the superintendent did a little bit different manicuring this winter, like how that was done. But some of the pictures I've seen, it looks pretty significant. That's only going to put more emphasis on driving. And again, we know Rory has the ability more than any player on tour, maybe with the exception of Minwoo Lee, with the way he's been driving it lately, to both overpower a golf course, but also do that while being extremely accurate with driving off the tee. So I wouldn't tell people to like stay away, but I wouldn't be all in.
That's fair. And Rory, so you mentioned the ownership. I got the projected ownerships right now, courtesy of BetSperts Golf. Get over there. You can sign up. I believe this week, if you use discount codes, I believe it's Sawgrass1, you can get a trial for the week, an account for just $1 on BetSperts right now. So get over to BetSperts Golf if you want to.
You're a data nerd.
I am a data.
It's supernova. I mean, like,
It's,
absolutely.
yeah.
Tip the cap to the people that have put this together. They bought or merged. I don't know how it worked out with Fantasy National. So now, like, the two greatest data sites, in my opinion, that have ever existed for golf, they're the same people now. And it's wonderful. Like, I cannot hype it up enough. So you should check that out if you don't. I have a membership. I know you do, obviously, as well. And it's just, it's the best.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to get super crazy. Like, some of the things that you can do on BetSperts is you can calculate, rank out apex height of their drives or of your approach shots, ball head, club head speed and ball speed. And if you think of it, there's some way that you can manipulate their tools to get to it. So definitely get over to BetSperts Golf. So I have the projected ownerships in front of me right now. Rory McIlroy is definitely feeling the player community is definitely hesitant on him. He's at 14% projected ownership right now, which still sounds high, but when you compare it to where he should be, Scotty Scheffler's at 22, Colin Morikawa's at 24, Siwoo Kim's at 22. Like, those are the guys that he should be projected to be owned similar to. And the fact that he's, 8, 9, 10% less than them. Yeah, if you have the balls to play Rory this week and take that chance, you are going to get him at an ownership value. And if you do the whole ownership compared to projected points compared to salary and your multiplication of your value, like, he's 100% gonna hit value for you this week if he plays all 4 days. If he plays all 4 days, he's almost a lock for a top 10 in my opinion. Like, I don't think that's a crazy take or anything. So if he plays all 4 days,
I would argue at this venue 14%, there is no such thing as a safe top 10 play. That's what makes
that's fair.
This venue so maddening, both for players and gamblers. But I know what you're saying. Yeah, like, Rory has as good of a track record as anybody, especially since they moved the event to March, which it has changed the way you should be looking at this event.
100%, and that's what people forget. So when you are looking at your stats, you're looking at your history, players who have done well here. You do need to take that into effect. Only use the past few years. I think it was moved to March in 23 or 22?
No, 2019.
Oh, it was all the way back to 2019. Okay, so then you can go all the way back to 2019 to get an accurate pool as far as
we have basically results. 6 years, because the 2020 tournament being canceled, obviously because of COVID. That was when COVID hit. Got real for me. Was I was like, all right, well, at least I still have golf, and then
they took that away. Yeah, I remember that time. That was a messy time for all of us, sports fanatics. I had resorted to having to watch simulated Madden games.
We were watching horse racing. That's what we were gambling on, was horse racing, because they were still having it for quite some time after everything shut down.
I even resorted to betting on esports because that was fun to do something. But God, I was so happy to get sports back. But yeah, so to get back to it, Rory will be an ownership discount this week, it looks like. Before we get too far down the DFS line for the players, though, because we are gonna spend a healthy amount of time on that. Let's quickly recap what happened this past week at the Arnold Palmer, because it is not insignificant when it comes to playing this week. The main reason why Bay Hill is also another Pete Dye course similar. It's Bermuda grass. It's obviously similar weather. It's generally close proximity in Florida. Like, there's a lot of similar factors that you can use this as a correlation course. And we had ourselves a fantastic week at the Arnold Palmer that came down to a playoff between Daniel Berger and Akshay Bhatia. Akshay Bhatia did end up winning, but if you just follow these two storylines, Daniel Berger this year has been popping. We've talked to him. I think I even said on last week's show that Daniel Berger was popping in my model, and I should play him, but I didn't have the confidence in him yet to play him. And I told
you, because every time I recommend playing him, he is ass. And I said, I'm not recommending him. So you could go right ahead
And then
play Berger with confidence, then he proved once again, if I fade him, he's going to ball, and if I play him, he's going to suck. So,
and that math still maths out, and it worked out because Daniel Berger, for I'll say for 4 rounds, because he's still, I know it didn't end the way he wanted it to, but part of that was because Akshay went on a tear down the stretch to pull himself back into it and tie that up and send it into a playoff. But Berger looked very impressive all week long. Akshay continues to look impressive Thursday through Sunday. Like, he's having a great year, and to see him get that kind of really signature win for himself, getting that I called it a jacket last week, forgetting it's a cardigan, not a jacket, but whatever, go pound sand.
Semantics,
yeah. So that was a fantastic finish. The other thing I wanted to touch on is Scott, and this is like somewhat news. Scotty is human. Scotty, and what I mean by that is he didn't finish top 10. And you know what? He came out. What's interesting here, though, is that it was still similar to what we've been seeing. It just flipped a little bit. He came out all right on Thursday, played all right Friday, and then I believe it was Saturday that he kind of had a down round. Or it was either Saturday or Sunday. It was one of the weekend rounds where he had like a down round, the round that we've been used to for the past month of him having on Thursday and then tearing up the course. So the trend changed a little bit, but he's still not looking right. If you watch the golf tournament, I was unfortunately not able to watch a ton of this golf tournament. It was a dance competition weekend for my daughter, so it was just very busy. But I've gone back, watched highlights, watched some clips of him. He's already got a funky swing anyways, but it works for him. His approaches are not necessarily working right now. He's not nails. Something just looks a little off, whether it's timing, whether it's the tempo, whether it's just his club choice. Like, something's off right now to where, yes, he's still the best player in the world without a doubt. Like, not even close. He's still going to have a chance to win this week. He's still going to have a chance to win every tournament he's in this week. But he's human and he's gettable now, which brings up the conversation of, is he worth $14,200 when playing him in DFS? Because to hit that value, you gotta be probably top 2 and at least lead 3 of the rounds, I'd say, to really hit that price value. That's where the conversation is. It has nothing to do with Scotty being the best player in the world. It's all about, is he worth his market right now when it comes to playing fantasy golf? For me, it's still not. How about you?
I still think death taxes and playing Scotty Scheffler in cash games. Particularly, there's 2 reasons this week. One is, if you look at difficult venues and strong fields, which this checks both boxes, no one is better in those events over the last 2 years than Scotty Scheffler. I mean, he's gaining like 2.5 strokes per round on the field. Is by far, it's over a shot more than any other player. Again, thank you to BetSpert for me being able to find out that ridiculous information. The other thing about Scheffler this week is I like so much the guys in that like mid to low 7K range that it would have been a situation where if I didn't play Scheffler, I would either force myself to play guys that I really am not that jacked about in the 8-9K range, or I would have like literally $1,000, $2,000 left over, because I mean, I freaking love the 7K range. I mean, you got Batia, you got Straka, you got Knapp, you have Ricky Fowler. Like, there's seriously the Gala, there's so many guys that are like 7,700, Bridgman's 7,900. Like, I just think there's so many good options there that I'm going to be rolling Scheffler in probably about half my lineups. It is disappointing. I actually thought, though, his ownership would be lower. Seeing the projections at 20% surprises me, because I think a lot of people are going to, get off the train. The other reason that it doesn't worry me too much is just that this is a venue that par 5s are really what it's about, right? Like, he's still the best scrambler and, one of the best bogey avoiders on the planet, despite, his issues. And this is one of those, again, just weird venues where every single hole has at least an 8% chance of birdie or better and
Yep.
an 8% chance of bogey or worse. And
Mhm.
that means the 4 par 5s and the short par 4 12th, you've got to feast on those holes. And I just think Scheffler is still dominating the par 5s. He's going to, I think he's going to be able to get enough out of those to sort of stay in contention. And again, for cash, I like him. If hearing that percentage, ownership projection, MME, no way. There's no way I'd play him. But for cash, I do like it.
Yeah, and I guess that is something to consider. I typically play more GPP MME formats. You play cash games. So what you're saying about for a cash game strategy, yes, 100%. Like you have to take in cash, you need the guy that has the highest chance of winning in your lineup, and you need him to just kind of, even if he doesn't win, to still perform. Scheffler will be that guy. Like, what I'm saying, he's not, in my eyes, he's not worth it. It's just because I don't think he's a guarantee top 10 finish this week, and that makes it hard for me to pay that amount of money when it comes to a GPP tournament style. So
100%.
Yeah, so just for the listeners' sake, I tend to talk in GPP form, and he tends to talk in cash. So just filter as you please. But let's take a look at some of the ownership here, because I'll give the top 5 highest owned guys this week. Starting at the top of the list is Colin Morikawa, and this is obviously projected still. Colin Morikawa projected ownership 24.7%. Ludwig Oberg, kind of a surprise for me, projected owned at 23.25.
People are crazy. People are freaking crazy. Like, I know he's playing well, but come on, guys, really?
Right. So, and then like I said, Scotty Scheffler 22.6. Siwoo Kim, I'm not surprised by, because he's been playing so good this year. 22.6 as well.
He's won here before. This is a venue. I think he's like top 25, 7 in the last 8 years. He belongs there for sure.
Yep, I get that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Coming in at number 5 would be Russell Henley at 19.7. I also get it. His entire game is catered to this type of course, this type of tournament. So I get that.
Top 10 in scoring average, scrambling, and driving accuracy. That's a pretty good formula for this venue.
Right. And like we're saying, so one of the things that you can see is projected ceilings for some of these guys. So no surprise, a lot of these guys with the high ownership, 90 plus, 100 plus point ceilings on their fantasy point kind of scale. Ludwig Oberg does come in at only a projected ceiling of 87 points. So that's why another reason why it's kind of surprising that he's projected to be so high owned. I'll be curious to see if that drops a little bit here in the over the next day before the tournament starts. Someone I do want to get to that I'm staying away from, even though there's a lot of factors that say he should do good. He's playing good enough, and he has the style of game to do it. He does model out at number 20 for me. So top 20, he is at a good price at 7,500, but he is projected to be around 18% owned, and to only have a projected point ceiling of 67 points, and that's Minwoo Lee. I love his game. His game does work here. He drives it far and straight, and he's great around the greens. Some things you really got to be good at, and we'll get deeper into the key stats here next. But Minwoo Lee is a guy that it was just right in front of my face, so I figured I'd just say it now, that in that 7K range, and this is part of it, there's just other guys I'd rather take a chance on that are less owned or less projected owned, slightly less money, or even have higher ceilings. You mentioned like a Ricky Fowler, even he's one of those guys, and Akshay Bhatia, he's one of those guys. Like, all these guys are lower projected ownership than Minwoo Lee, so I'd rather take the chance on other guys, and that's where it comes down to. I know something. I was actually watching the Pat Mayo show earlier today, and something they said that struck me and made a lot of sense is, for this tournament, when it comes to chalk, fade the chalk under 8K. Like, because it's just, there's enough good guys down there in a tournament field like this. Hell, there's enough good guys in the 6K range this week that you don't have to pay ownership, prices for some of these guys.
I mean, again, did they add the caveat? Because I agree with that in multi-entry fields, but again, in cash,
Cash
I
is
feel
different,
like
yes.
that if you really feel that a guy is going to contend, which
Right.
the only thing that makes me leery of Minwoo Lee this week is if the weather holds, he is on the wrong side of the draw. And I mean,
he's
it
got
is looking like a
PM Thursday, right?
significant difference for the guys that go out PM AM compared to the
Mm-hmm.
AM PM.
And that's mainly, we're not saying it's going to be necessarily wet or anything. It's 100% a wind thing this week. It's a directional, the direction the wind's coming from, the speed the wind's coming
The
in
high
at.
winds
It
are
matters.
both Thursday afternoon and Friday
Right.
morning for those days. So they're literally
100%.
getting, it's like the open. I think that happens a good bit where you see,
Mm-hmm.
Like the winds pick up in the afternoon, they go through the morning, and then it's like the guys that went out and calm winds Thursday morning also go out Friday afternoon when the winds start to die down. So, but I do think that I think this could be Minwoo Lee's hello world moment. He is
He hasn't already had that yet? You don't think?
I don't think so. No, not on the
People are making
scale.
T-shirts with him saying, "Yeah,
What I mean is
whatever."
You win a huge event,
Sure.
and I mean he's having such a good year already. He finished, 6th last week, finished 12th at the Genesis, runner up at Pebble. But I mean, you talked about he drives it far and straight. I don't think people realize he is entering Rory category because he's top 10 in driver distance. But what is he? I think he's 27th in driving accuracy. It is so rare to have somebody who hits it that far still being the top, 15% of accurate drivers. And then the other thing, what we just talked about, par fives are so huge. He's 4th in par five scoring. His scrambling and stuff is just out of this world. He's doing a great job of avoiding bogeys, 1st in strokes gained around the greens. I do though, again, I'm not yet all the way all in on the AM PM. But if we get closer to Thursday and the forecast does not change, I think it's that big of a difference where most of my cash lineups, especially the more expensive ones, I am going to lean in. Is the guy AM PM or is he PM AM? Because it feels like almost like an open championship type difference, which we've seen these in recent years. It's like night and day when you have that kind of difference in wind.
So I'm doing 6 lineups in the $5 whatever the hell they call it on DraftKings.
150 max, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing 6 lineups in those this week. So one of those lineups, like you said, depending on how the weather looks, I'm definitely going to make one of those lineups a game script based off of the wind and the tee times, and that's what you do. You got to game script some of your lineups because you can't just. That's where sometimes if you use an optimizer, you're gonna end up you're selling yourself short and mixing together game scripts. Your best chance to pull off winning big with one lineup, because remember, you could enter 150 lineups and not cash with 149 of them, but if you get that game script right for just one of those, you can win big and the rest of them don't matter. But you have to make sure that the lineup makes sense for itself. It's got, each lineup's got to have a specific game script. So I'm going to stick to 6 so I can kind of follow 6 different potential game scripts that I think make sense this week, and not just willy nilly throw some guys in that mathematically make sense with the salary. But so Minwoo Lee's a couple stats, and it's a perfect time to bring up the key stats, because you're right, he does look very good for a lot of the stats. So I use 5 main stats, sprinkled in a couple extra, but I also took those 5 stats and kind of spread them out over just in general so far over the last 6 months. I did a set of the stats that were on comparable courses, PTI courses, over the last year. And then I did another data set that was just over the past 3 months and the past 20 rounds, because this is one of those courses, one of those tournaments that recent form really is a kind of a dictating factor of what's going to happen. And why I'm skeptical of Minwoo Lee is he misses some of the marks on some of the keyer stats. So I use strokes gain total, strokes gain approach, total driving, scrambling percentage, and then approach from the rough from 150 to 175. These were the main stats that I went to. I did sprinkle in par 5 birdie or better and bogey avoidance in general as well. But when it comes to that stroke gain approach, he's ranked 88th in that. In the last 6 months, he ranks 116th from 150 to 175 in the on comparable courses, as well as 106 on comparable courses for approach, and total strokes gained 58th for comparable courses. So, and then 60th for approach in recent form. So, like, yes, he's been great off the tee. He's been great at what he does good, but what's been costing him is the stuff that unfortunately you need to also be very good at this course specifically. And which is why, for me, that ownership price that you're going to have to pay for him doesn't make sense for me in a GPP standpoint when I can get Ricky Fowler, who has similar metrics, but better metrics at the stats that really come into play, and you get him at less money and less ownership as well.
I mean, again, the only thing that to just push back is the par 5 scoring is so huge. I think he's going to be able to take advantage of that. He's very good scrambling around the greens. But his numbers on approach from the rough are actually great this year. I think I want to pull that up so I didn't get incorrect information. So from 50 to 100 yards, he's 32nd from the rough. And then 150 to 175, he's 30th. And on approaches of 200 plus yards, he's also 33rd. And you know, he's, where is it? Yeah, fairway proximity, rough proximity this year, he's 18th. So he might have a little bit of an advantage. To your point, fairway proximity, he's 95th. That's not great.
Yeah. He's a fantastic scrambler. That's his game. He hits it far and straight, and he can scramble. For some reason, when he has a ball in the middle of the fairway and he's trying to stick it, that's where he struggles. And it makes no sense, but it's just a fact.
It is. I would like to look, though, recent events, because I just find it hard to believe he would have played so well at Pebble, the Genesis, and the Arnold Palmer Invitational, with him not hitting his irons better over the last few events. And that's something I should have looked up, before recommending him everywhere this week.
So I will say, yes, because like you said, his finishing positions have been fantastic so far this year. His worst one has been T38, and that was the MX, and that was his first tournament of the year.
He's gained almost a stroke and a half to the last 3 events. So that's significant, to me.
Yeah, so last week at the Arnold Palmer, he did gain 1.1 strokes on approach. Of course, he gained 0.6 strokes around the green, like no shocker there. Total strokes he gained was 2 strokes last week. So, like, when it comes to recent form, he's 100% there. But like I said, cash lineup, I think he can easily come out of that range, that price range, as the top guy. But is it only by like 2 points compared to like I said, to a Ricky Fowler or to a why don't I have it right in front of me here, or to an Akshay Bhatia? You're going to get them at like 4 or 5% less owned, and so the difference there is better.
Bhatia is the one that scares me this week.
Coming off of win,
it's and again, this always comes as a knock. People think, and it's not. It's just so difficult.
It is
to follow up a win with a good performance. No different than it is difficult even for these guys who are the best golfers in the world. Especially they go out and shoot 63, right? And then usually the next round, what happens? Like, it's just so difficult to do that. And again, this is a course that, if I'm not mistaken, he's played well, I think, in both of his starts. But it does make me leery playing someone coming off of a win that is as young as he is. I mean, he finished 3rd here last year, missed the cut in 2024. And boy, you want to talk about something to hang your hat on. 2.06 strokes gained average. Again, most of that's from last year, but the 1.08 strokes gained approach and 1.57 ball striking, and then also 1.52 tee to green. If anybody can do it, Batia. But the other crazy thing is the reason he won last week was he gained almost 10 shots on the greens, which is
Yes,
insane.
he did. Yeah.
That's like Brad Faxon levels. I mean, it is crazy. If he putts like he did last week, he's going to win every week, right?
No, and that makes sense, and I get that. So you know what? Yes, I can resign myself to the fact that maybe Akshay Bhatia is not the greatest comparison.
Now,
when it comes
Bridgman, I think, who's only a few hundred more. I'm with you on Fowler. Like, I think people are sleeping on Fowler for this venue. He drives it incredibly straight. Very good short to middle iron player. Very good scrambler. Very good out of the bunkers. Don't forget, there's like almost 100 traps on this, venue. Straka, who again, unfortunately, he is also PMAM wave, but love his game for this venue. I love Adam Scott for this venue. He's in that, price range. So is Knapp. The Gala is another guy that I think people are sleeping on. He's 7K.
Sakala, I think, is going to be the steal of the 7K range. Like he's in my core. Like it's going to be hard for me to get away from Thagala because at 7,000, like you're saying, and his projected ownership to only be 9.2%, considering like what he's been doing and what he can do on a course like this. Let me look up. I want to look up his history here really fast. So this is one of those guys.
He has a top 10 2 years ago. Missed the cut last year. Obviously, I don't really count any. That's what I'll say. He played awful last year. Like let's put it. He had gone from one of the most promising starts to a young career. He missed the cut the first 2 times here. Finished 9th in 2024.
So he actually missed the cut the first time. 223, he did technically make the cut. He just finished 74th.
He finished 74th? Oh, wow. Okay. So he's made the cut 3 out of 4 then in the last 3 in a row, but only has that one good finish. But his numbers are looking very similar to what we saw when he first kind of burst onto the scene. I mean, like last 100%. Week, gained almost a stroke and a half on approach, gained nearly half a stroke off the tee. He didn't have a good putting week last week. He barely gained strokes putting, which for him, that's rare to see him, gain, have that good of a finish without it. But you look at it, finished 8th at the American Express, 7th at the Farmers, 18th at, the Phoenix Open. Pebble finished 60th, came back 22nd at Genesis, 6th at the Arnold Palmer. And what have we been talking about? This is such a difficult golf course, and you have to be able to scramble. He's one of the best in the world at it. I mean, he's so good at saving pars, getting a 17th right now in scrambling. Even more importantly, he's 5th scrambling from the rough, 13th in sand save percentage, 12th scoring average, 21st bogey avoidance. And then again, I think par 5 is so huge. He's 5th in par 5 scoring. So I'm with you. Like he's one of my favorite plays this week. Him and Ryan Fox are 2 guys that I've now been riding.
Yeah, don't sleep on Fox.
Season, and I'm going to keep riding them until their price goes up or people start playing them more, which it seems like either is the case.
Let me find Fox. You know what Fox's projected ownership is right now? 4.7.
Oh yeah, he's in every line. He's like the only guy that is in every lineup because he's 6,500. He's finished. It's either 24th or better in 2 or 3 starts here, or 30th or better in 2 or 3 starts here. He hasn't missed a cut this year. He is a ball striker. We've seen these older guys. So he finished 20th last year, missed a cut in 2024, 27th in 2023. That's his only 3 starts. And what I love,
23 was kind of before he even came onto the scene. 24, he was kind of coming on, and then last year people really started to get his name. So like his game has changed. So it's kind of easy to kind of talk away that 24 missed cut. Honestly, when it comes to him,
I tell you what I love is he's gaining strokes at this venue at everything, but strokes gained around the green, and in the putting over 1 stroke. 1.03 strokes gained. I just like, to me, he's a lock. He's a good driver of the golf ball. He's a good iron player from that number that we're looking at, where I think it's 125 to 175 yards. You're going to see 40% of the approaches come from that distance. Again, like Fox to me is just, he's a lock. I mean, he's top 50 in putting, strokes gained off the tee. He's 27th in scrambling. He's, top 40 in bogey avoidance, birdie or better percentage, scoring average, and he's 21st in his strokes gained total. Like, he's playing so well, and he's 6,500. Hell, you can get him. His betting odds are insane. I have him once again.
I don't think he's going to win. I don't think he can win this tournament this week.
Nobody. Let me tell you something. Nobody is winning this event. Maybe with the exception, you might get talked man to Aaron Rye with this being his home course and how much time he spends there.
Sure, yeah.
But if you look at since they moved it to March, which that's a 6-year sample, so that's without a doubt a trend. Average winner, 18-1 is the odds. That's right. That's just top of the leaderboard. Every single one of those winners was 9th or better in scoring average on the season entering the event. The last 4 years, they've been 1st or 2nd in scoring average. And then 5 of the 6 had at least 2 top 5 finishes already. And 5 of the 6 had at least 3 top 15 finishes entering the week. So this has been a form event. This has been an event that has been dominated by the players playing the best entering the week. And that's why, like, you brought up Morikawa, you brought up, Siwoo Kim, like Jake Knapp, like those guys that have been playing so well, they absolutely should be, kind of the favorites. Minwoo Lee is another guy, right? That's playing really well. Like, those guys should be. They're all in the top 10 in scoring average. That's kind of like, for the outrights, that's who you should be, in my opinion, honing in on, and then try to make money on props or, versus battles other than that, because you're not going to, I don't see a long shot winning this event. That's not been the case since they moved it to March.
Right. Yeah. Winning is a totally different thing. Like you're saying, it's, if you want to talk, when it comes to betting, top 20, top 30, whatever you want to do, or even like one-on-one showdowns, whatever, those matchups, like that's something that is much more like, there's a lot of value there for sure.
Yeah.
I will tell you, somewhat a long shot I'm willing to take a chance on when it comes to DFS purposes. Like I said, I'm not going to bet him to win or anything, but a guy that checks a lot of boxes for recent form and style of play this year, and is very cheap, is under, I think, let me see what his, sorry, I got confused. I got too many tabs open. He is projected to be only like 2.4% owned, but Haotong Lee is, I know he missed the cut last week, and that's why you gotta, like, for me, we say all these things, like, and it sounds like they're like Bible for, you can't take a player that fits outside of this box. For me, there's exceptions to even like the rules that we say we're using, because you need to take into account other factors. And yes, Haotong Lee did not have a good week last week. He missed the cut at API, but before that, coming into it, let me just reset this. T32 at the Cognizant, he was T11 at Farmers, T8 at American Express, and then T55 at the Sony. When he has been on, he's been very good at a lot of the things we need to see when it comes to this week. Now, once again, he's someone that, when I say he's a play that I like, if I'm looking to squeeze in like Scotty Scheffler and a couple of those high-end guys that we know have a chance to win, like, you're going to have to dip into the 6K range. And Haotong Lee is down there at a low ownership, where if you're playing GPP, I wouldn't play him in cash. To your point, we're not playing Haotong Lee in cash, but in GPP, you're going to have to take some chances to get, your best chance of getting the winner in there. Haotong Lee is down there, very low owned, and he could surprise people this week, because he does hit a lot of the right metrics that at least that I'm using. He's, total driving. He's been fantastic at approach. He's been good.
I mean, he's great driving, Eric. I think he's like top 30.
Yeah, like so, and so he doesn't make a lot of birdies, and that's why I think his ceiling is going to be capped. His birdie or better on par fives is kind of low, but his bogey avoidance has been fantastic. He's
Let me
top
ask you
45 in that.
something because
So
it's funny, and I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, but
Mhm.
I notice you're using birdie or better percentage. I usually use just scoring average. Like I actually like it better on the par three, par four, par five stuff. Why do
Okay.
you tend to? I'm just curious. Why do you tend to lean into the birdie or better percentage?
For me, that's more of the. I get it factors in taking what's it called, taking I can't think right now,
Like the
taking
probability that they're
take
going to make
the
birdies, or
yeah, like taking the opportunity in front of, like, if you put yourself in the opportunity, you're then taking advantage. That's the word I couldn't think of. You're
okay.
taking advantage of the opportunity. It's factoring out because on a course like this, for me, like getting par on the par fives is it's kind of a loss for the hole. Like, because I feel
Oh,
like
at this venue, it's not kind of. This is one of those that you're
so
you're
that's what I
making
mean.
pars on par fives. You're losing strokes.
And that's what I mean. I want to factor out, like, because I feel like for me, if you're doing scoring average, you're gonna get, obviously that scoring average is gonna factor in all the guys who bogey, double, triple, which is gonna happen on this course. There's enough hazards in play that there's gonna be some big numbers on some of these par fives. So when in comparison to those big numbers, the guys who make par, they're gonna rate out well in scoring average.
Yeah, but I'm talking about for the season.
No, I know you're talking about for the season, but that's why I want guys who can nut up or shut up. Is what
Okay.
I'm saying.
All right.
That's basically what it comes down to. I want to factor out the guys who are just skating by, on average. I want guys who are putting nails in the coffin.
Fair enough.
That's all. So yeah, so how so let's see. What's we got like a minute left here.
Oh, we got more in a minute if you did, buddy. If you need that, like we've got to
No.
basically right at 9.
Okay. Okay. So a couple other, I just want to make sure I touch on a couple other guys
Yeah,
that I
go
do
for
like
it,
this
man.
week. Because the core that I'm using this week is, so I mentioned how Tung Lee as he's a flyer. He's a guy that I'm going to use, for sure going to use when I'm trying to get some high price guys in those game script lineups. Some of the guys I'm going to be using across really multiple type of game scripts. Jake Knapp, the guy you love, like I think he's gonna put it's an illness. I'm not worried about the illness. I think he'll be okay. Russell Henley is the one guy that I'm willing to like kind of pay chalk for on a regular basis when it comes to multiple lineups. Because like I said earlier, this is just kind of catered to him.
Yeah, again, 8th or better driving accuracy, scrambling, scoring
Yeah.
average. You can't beat that at this venue.
Right, and then the other guy we just talked about, Sahith Theegala at 7,000. I think his price is just way too good for how he's playing. Another long shot down in the 6K range that I love this week is actually Austin Smotherman down at 6,400. If you're a fan of the show, and if Bud was here, he'd be saying your guy Smotherman, because Smotherman is the guy for the past like 2 years. Was just constantly in my models, constantly. I was playing him like week in and week out all the time. He was always coming through with me when I needed him to make a cut or whatever. Smotherman, he's projected only at 2.5% owned, and he actually rates out quite well this week. He rates out 8th in my model this week, mainly because of his performance on comparable Pete Dye courses. So that's why I'm willing to take a chance there. He is 10th in the field in birdie or better on par fives as well. So at 6,400 at less than 3% owned, Austin Smotherman is another guy that I compared to how Tung Lee when it comes to, if I want to pay up for a 2 or 3 guys, I'm going to have to play some guys down in the 6K range. And Smotherman, I think, makes the cut easily. I actually think Smotherman makes the cut more likely than how Tung Lee does, in my opinion.
I'll give you another guy down in the really low range. A lot of people are going to be talking about
this name, actually.
Taylor Moore is
okay.
somebody who's played well the last couple of weeks and really fits, in my opinion, what you're looking for at Sawgrass. I think he actually, if I'm not mistaken, I thought I'd wrote it down, and of course I didn't. I actually believe he has several good finishes at this venue, but you look at him, he's 25th in strokes gained off the tee, 42nd strokes gained putting, but the big ones for me, 3rd in scrambling, 4th scrambling from the rough, 7th in bogey avoidance, and 33rd in sand save percentage, which again is going to be huge. He plays par fives well. I like more. Yeah. So he's actually finished 35th or better each of the last 3 years here. So I think he is somebody that has a decent chance, especially when you look, he's gaining like right at 0.8 strokes on the field and tee to green and ball striking in his 4 career appearances here, and 0.64 on approach. So if he continues to putt well, which he's done this year, I think he is somebody. Davis Thompson is another guy that just drives it extremely straight.
Sure.
Finished top 10 last year. And I think that he's got a chance as well. But I think the value is in that 7K range. That's where I'm kind of loading up on. Again, Knapp, Straka, you got Harris English, who again, difficult venue. You can just sign Harris English up.
I never get him right though. That's the problem. He's one of those guys for me that I can just never.
You're obviously not playing him at tough venues because that's where he thrives. I mean, it is like anytime it's a top 10 difficult venue, I'm always going to have some Harris English lineups, and he is somebody who struggled at this venue for like the first almost decade of his career, and then he has really came around in the last, it's either 3 or 4 years, putting together some really good finishes. And again, I love his game anytime you get him on a venue like this that puts so much emphasis on finding fairways, hitting greens in regulation, all things that he does, on the regular. I mean, he's in a lot of ways kind of a poor man's Russell Henley. That
I can see that comparison.
So many of the things similar. And I thought I had his numbers right here. Yeah, here it is. So he's right now 13th in strokes gained off the tee, top 35 in strokes gained putting, driving accuracy, scoring average, and then 17th in birdie or better percentage, 40th in scrambling. And he's top 15 in both par 3 and par 4 scoring. My one concern is he has not played par 5s well this year. And again, I think that is something that players really need. And then again, the other guy who's also in that 7K range is Aaron Rye, who lives at this venue. They say you can find him most days on the back of the range, hitting balls. And I mean, 3 starts here, 19th, 35th, 14th. And again, this one of those deals, if you look at the numbers, it's outrageous. Over 1.25 strokes gained tee to green. And again, over a stroke gained on ball striking, 1.46. I think he's the one guy that's a long shot that has a good chance to actually contend this week.
Aaron has a tendency to do that where he's in contention when he shouldn't. It feels awful to say when he shouldn't be, but when people don't expect him to be, it's probably a better way to say it. He's always finds a way to be in contention. He's not the type of guy that's mostly going to get over the hump in an event like this, but he's going to hang around when you don't expect him to. And
plus 610 to top 10, plus 265 to top 20. Yeah. I love both of those.
That's the thing. It wouldn't shock me to see him, on Sunday be in like a T8 position, and then maybe have an average day when people turn it on and he ends up finishing like a T16 or 17. You know what I mean? Like that wouldn't shock me. That feels like a very Aaron Rye thing to do. So I don't mind that from a DFS standpoint, especially like you're going to get a lot of valuable points there. From a very low owned guy and a very low price guy.
Yeah, did you see? What is his ownership projection? Because I was curious if he's somebody that's going to be.
Yeah, let me pull it back.
If you don't have it right there, it's okay.
Well, so as I pull that up, I will say that the one guy that I did see his ownership projection you mentioned on Taylor Moore was I want to make sure I get it exactly right. 0.84 project ownership.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna put him in a cash game lineup for sure.
And then Rye is actually at 7.3% ownership.
That's not too bad. A little higher than I thought it was going to be. That's not bad.
I would say it's not too bad, but there are definitely some Aaron Rye supporters out there that are not afraid.
Well,
to be
again, it's his
him.
home. It's his home course, right? So like
Right.
he knows this, very well. He said he plays it all the time.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, and you have to take that into account when it comes to a course like this. But look, that is going to do it for us tonight. Keith's going to go enjoy those birthday balloons behind him. Go over and check him out on fantasy. It's fantasy 6-pack tonight, right? At 9.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So right after this, 2 off the tee fantasy 6-pack over there. You'll be able to continue hearing Keith make some of the same points and some more points as he did here on this show. He's got all the stats for you. So I highly suggest going over there and getting the full story from Keith. I'm Andrew. This is Keith. As always, we are Divots and Pivots, and we will be back every Tuesday, including next Tuesday at 8:00 here on That Sports Podcast Network. And every Wednesday, you can find us for your audio pleasure on your podcast platforms, thanks to Golfer Gang Network. We love you guys. Stay classy and have a fantastic